Over to you.
Appreciate it. Oh,
All right.
go ahead. Sure. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Let me get up to be louder.
A little bit.
Louder. How about that?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Eh,
It's okay.
you know, put it right up on my mouth. Okay. Better? Better? All right. First of all, Chris, thank you. I think all the authors here will say the same thing. Second of all, I want to put one thing to rest really quick. I am not schizophrenic. This past weekend, we were at an event, and a lady walks up to our table. She picks up one book. She picks up another book. She looks at my wife and says, "Are you the author?" And my wife says, "No, my husband is." She goes, "Can I ask you a question? Is he schizophrenic?" My wife's like, "No, he's not." She goes, "Because you know these people that write these things, they usually have lived them." And my wife's like, "No, he's just got a very vivid imagination, and he researches a lot." I have a very vivid imagination. I'm not schizophrenic. I only have 23 voices in my head. Keep that in mind. Okay, I am A.J. Brown. Now that we've got that out of the way, the wrestling theme music is out of my head, we're good. I hated writing. Right up front. Hated it. I refused to do it when I was in school. I got bad grades because of it. A nightmare changed my life. I had a nightmare. It wouldn't go away. Had it for months. Same nightmare. Over and over. Finally, somebody said, "Why don't you write it down?" A famous author supposedly wrote it down. So I tried it. Had that nightmare. Never had the nightmare again after I wrote it. I was like, man, that was kind of cool. So I started writing. I sucked. Straight up sucked. I wrote for 10 or 12 years. Sucked. Then I read a book called On Writing, which most of y'all probably know who wrote that, Stephen King. Only got about halfway through the book, and I got to one part, and he said, "The writer is the story's first reader." And at that point, I stopped. I didn't read anything else. And I changed everything about the way I write. Because at that point, I was listening to rules and regulations and all these whatever about writing. And I just wasn't being true to who I was. That led me to a book called Corey's Way. To tell you about Corey's Way, I have to tell you where it came from. My wife and I have 2 children. One of them was 4 when this happened. Her name is Chloe. She had beautiful red hair, ringlets and everything, just as sweet as could be. We have one vehicle, so my wife takes me to work. Every morning on the way to work, we'd be at Assembly Street, and there's this homeless guy sitting on a bucket. Big guy. And my daughter would look out the window. Every morning. Then one day she said, "Daddy, I want to make him a card." I said, "All right, make him a card." So she drew a picture. She asked us to help her write one thing in the card. So next day, on my way to work, and the homeless guy is sitting on the corner on his white bucket. And I said, "Hey, Chloe, you want to get out?" She goes, No, not me. And so I said, "Okay, I'll go give it to him." So Chloe plastered against the glass like this. These little red ringlets, these beautiful blue eyes just splashed against the glass like this. I get out the car. I walk over to the man, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, do not wish to bother you, but you see that little girl in that car right there?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, I pulled from behind my back the card. I said, "She made you this card." So he opens it up, he looks at it, and the only thing it said, because it's what she asked us to put in there, it says, "Somebody loves you." That's all it said. Somebody loves you. He started crying. And he was like, "This is the sweetest thing anybody's ever done for me." This is a homeless man. Nobody is nice to him. He started crying. The sweetest thing anybody's ever done for me. So I said, "Well, she did that for you." And she's still plastered against the glass. I don't know what she's thinking, but she's like, And so I said, "Well, can I tell her your name?" He smiles and he says, "My name is George Washington." And I said, "Seriously?" But really, he goes, "Yeah, my name is George Washington." I shook his hand. I said, "Thank you for your time." Went back to the car, told my daughter. George Washington is one of the main characters of Corey's Way. He is where the entire book came from. a boy named Corey whose father leaves them, and his mother has to move them to a new town. And what happens to little kids when they're in a new town? What happens in school? They get bullied. He's running from the bullies, and he meets George Washington. George Washington saves him from these bullies, inadvertently, but he still saves him. And that's how the story starts. Corey's Way. It's my favorite book. Kind of like children, you're not supposed to have favorites. It's kind of like against the rules. You're supposed to, oh, you like all your books? No. I like Corey's Way. I like Forgetful Man's Disease. I like all of my books, but Corey's Way is like my favorite. You know, it's like the one here. Read that. And it's just a good, solid story. Now, a little bit more about me. I have a wild sense of humor.
What?
Very wild sense of humor. I am right here from South Carolina. I married my high school sweetheart, literally, because when we met, she was in high school. But I have two great kids. My daughter is 17, my son is 13. I work very hard. I work too much. I write all the time. You will not find cussing. You will not find excessive gore. You will not find excessive violence. You will not find anything that's not necessary to a story in any of my books. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's lazy whenever you write cussing, sex. If you find sex in one of my books, I did not write it. I'm going to tell you that right now. It just doesn't happen. I have a rule. My first book was A Long Splintered Path, and it had everything to make it real. F-bombs. I don't say the F word. It was probably in there 40 times. I don't say it. A lady from our church wanted the book. And I was like, I'll put her off. I'll put her off. And I put her off. And I was like, yeah, I don't have any right now. And so when the rights reverted back to me, I completely redid it, took all that out. Because if Mama Sal can't read it, nobody's going to read it. You know, and that's all my books. If I cannot let Miss Sally read the book, it doesn't happen. I just don't. It's kind of like you don't want somebody disappointed in you, and she's that person for me. I do not want her to read something bad because I wrote something that's F this, F that, F. No. I really don't have a ton more to talk about, just because I talk really fast. And but if y'all have questions, I'd be more than happy to answer anything.
How long does it take you to write a book?
It depends, because my mind wanders so much, and I will work on like 8 things at one time. Corey's Way took me 3 weeks. It's the fastest I've ever written a novel, because once it started, it just went, and it was just so bad. Dredging Up Memories took me 2 years. It just depends, and also depends on the length, because I don't believe in writing to a word count. If the story is going to be 3,000 words, that's how long it's going to be. If it's going to be 100,000 words, that's how long it's going to be. I won't write to a word count.
Do you work on 2 at one time?
I will, yeah. I'm very bad about that. I can't. My mind will get going on one thing, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what about this? And I'll start working on something else. And I'm really bad about that. Sometimes I'll even start making notes because I'm working on one. Actually, okay, I got to write this down because I'm going to forget this. And yeah, I'll work on. I probably have right now. I have a paranormal detective story I'm working on, and it's connected to a ghost story. That's connected to kind of slightly romance story. Did I say that low enough? Somebody heard? Okay. but yeah, I work on multiple things at one time, unless something really captures me, and then it goes. And I mean, I can finish this if I can write 10, 12,000 words easily and fast. I write very fast.
Jeff, you say you're, what, a scary novelist?
I write dark.
How do you mean that?
I-
It looks normal.
I'm normal.
When you say to people the type of novel that you write, how do you present
Well, it
that?
just depends, because Corey's Way is not horror. Corey's Way is more of a
Horror,
coming of
that's
age.
the word of it.
However, I do have a hashtag. It's called Horror with Heart, and that's essentially why I base everything on the characters. Anything that's scary is secondary. Like I have a book called Dredging Up Memories. It's about zombies. However, the zombies are secondary in nature. It's really about alcoholism and being alone. So everything that I write, I try to write with the same mindset of how can I get in the character's head? How can I? If I make you cry, I've done my job. If I make you sick, I've done my job. If I scared you, I've done my job. If I didn't touch your feelings at all, I failed. And so the only way to do that is to get in the character's head. So you got to get in their head to get to their heart, and when you get in your head to get to your heart. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So how many books do you have?
10.
Wow.
10 at the moment. One more, hopefully in October. 2 more next year. And a lot of these things, like I say, a lot of people, I don't write all this stuff and throw it out. Just a lot of these things have been written years ago and have been edited over years. I mean, Voices has been 4 years in the making. You know, it's literally, it came out in April, and it's 15 short stories, but it took 4 years to get there because the stories were written, then it had to be edited, then it had to go through a publisher, then it had to be edited again, then it had to go through another editor, and it's been edited like 18,000 times. And then, of course, cover art, and it's a big process. But, you know, so Horror with Heart, because I like to get in the heads, I like to get in characters. Again, you're not going to find gore. You're not going to find, like, most of my stories don't have monsters in them. They're about people. You know, they're really about people. I mean, you know, look at yourself. You know, put yourself in certain situations. And like in Dredging Up Memories, there's a particular scene in there that I had to write. By the time I was going to write it, I was in tears because I had to put myself in the situation of the main character. And at that point, I've had probably 25 people tell me, this part made me cry. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want.
Did you say you make yourself cry sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, if I don't feel it, how am I expect you to feel it? I mean, I have to feel, you know, everything that I write. If I don't, then it's just trash. You know, yes.
Are you an outliner or a pantser?
Pantser all the way. Pantser. I mean, I will make notes. Like if we're like on the road, we were on the road going to Florida, and my wife, her 95, we just got out inside of Georgia, and Catherine says, "Hey, there's a guy." And I look, and there's a guy sitting in front of a truck in a lawn chair drinking on 95, just looking out the interstate. You know, and I'm like, man, that's funny. So I started jotting down notes. That night I wrote the story, write a passage about a man who's watching the ghost of his family the day before he dies. And so, but I made the notes, but for the most part, pantser. I mean, I usually have an idea. I usually have the first sentence, and that's usually all I have is the first sentence. So, that helps.
Do you have any one author that you feel is your major influence?
Stephen King. If I had to pick one, it would be Stephen King. I love Roald Dahl too. You know, he wrote Blue Water. I love him. But Stephen King, I like his, especially a lot of his newer stuff is less horror and more, you know, people oriented. You know.
Yeah, he's mellowed with age.
I don't know if he's mellowed. I think that car accident, kind of that being hit by that man, kind of changed his whole perspective on life. So, no.
You mentioned that you do a lot of research. Like, what kind of research?
Well, if the FBI were to look at my search engine, I would be in some sort of trouble. I wrote. There's a story about cannibalism in Long Splendid Path. I had to research cannibalism, including the best parts of a body to eat. I know that sounds weird. There's actually a university that teaches about cannibalism. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But yeah. And like, if you're going to, especially if you're talking about death, or if you're talking about sicknesses, or if you're talking about, you know, rape, abuse, neglect, racism, you kind of gotta have a clue. I mean, look, I'm not trying to sound sarcastic. I've never been raped. I don't know what that's like. I'm sorry. I've never been, you know, abused, so to speak. I've never been neglected. So a lot of that I have to kind of research real life stories on this woman who suffered through this, or this kid who got beaten when he was young, or and a lot of that stuff's disturbing. I mean, I wrote a story called Rise Up Nanking that was about the Japan and China conflict in 1931, where the soldiers were really killing people by putting them in front of a ditch and shooting them. And I researched that. It was very disturbing stuff. Just to write a 3,000-word short story about a person who sees the ghost of one of the guys he killed in that event. So, anybody else?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you work with different editors, or do you have one that you work with continuously?
I have worked with different ones. I'm now with a publishing company that provides me 2 editors, and one of them is now my permanent editor. I really love working with her. Her name is Alyssa Bennett, and she's phenomenal. But in the past, I've worked with a lot of editors, and some editors don't understand that it's your work, not theirs. And so those are the ones you got to kind of like get away from, because they want to change it and make it their voice. It's not yours at that point; it's theirs. So yeah, I do work with a lot, but now I have one. She's awesome. Yes.
I was questioning.
What,
Let me ask this first. In relationship to my art, there's a lot of grief-stricken poetry that I write. So I'm looking to put my grief in the books. So would you say, akin to that you're kind of putting this alter ego of yourself, to scare people or to think about things differently, or, and then you could be happier to a degree just because you put it in your book?
Actually, I'm happy when I finish a story, so possibly. I'm fascinated with darker things. My mom has always said, he's my dark child, and he's the one who likes the disturbing stuff. And I've been that way since I was like 6, and when I write, I really, a lot of times I have no clue where I'm going with it. And a lot of times it'll just kind of like, okay, this sentence leads to this sentence and this sentence. Oh, wait a minute. This person was...
All right, the follow-up then, by what I heard you say, and just starting the opening of, just crafting the cover of one of your books, do you start with a happenstance first? Is that, all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like it's character-driven. It's kind of like plot-driven more than anything else. You can correct me if,
I'm more character-driven. I don't believe in plot. I know that sounds bad. A lot of writers tell me I'm crazy because I don't believe in plot. Life isn't a plot. When you were born, your life wasn't plotted out. Your life changed by every decision you made. You being here today changed your life. I mean, what if you didn't come here? You went somewhere else and got in a car accident. Everything that you've done in your life is not plotted. I mean, you may have said, okay, this is the school I want to go to. This is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do. You might have had that out, but how did you get there? It's not plotted. I don't believe in plot. I believe in letting the story unfold. I believe in it just like life. If I've tried plot and I've failed miserably. I like characters. I like people. When I sit down and I write a story, like I said, I usually have that first line, but I already know who the person is. Just figuring out how to tell you who that person is. How to tell you how that person got to where they are. And that's what makes, Dredging Up Memories such a different story, because it starts out one way, and then it goes here, and then it goes there, and then at the end, the main character is just a completely different story. Same with Corey's Way. Corey's 10 at the beginning, he's 12 at the end, but the little 10-year-old scared boy is nothing like the 12-year-old, almost heroic boy. It's getting from point A to point B as the character, and watching them develop and learning about the character, because I don't know anything about the characters when I start writing. They kind of like, hey, dude, this is what I want to do. Yeah, okay, do this. And that's what they do, I got a story called The Scarring in Voices, and the main character's name is Nothing. That's his name. Because, seriously, his name is Nothing, because he actually had a name. And I kept writing it, and I could not write the story because he's going, my name is nothing. That's not my name. Stop. And my dad called me nothing my whole life. My name is nothing. So I took out his name, and I don't remember what his name is now. It was originally now, and I wrote nothing, and the story went. I was done in like 45 minutes, you know, because I changed his name. That was his name, you know. I mean, some of my characters just like, they don't have like normal names, you know. It's just like, I mean, I got one called Miss Orange Hair, you know, it's just because that's the character. She has orange hair. That's her main thing. It's bright red like a fire engine, you know. But so it's all about the characters. Plot. Yeah, I don't believe in plot. And like I said, if you're an author, don't get mad at me.
What do you like best about short fiction?
There's to me, it's hard to write short fiction. It's hard to write novels. I just love the fact that it can be like this. And with the attention span of people today, reading an 85,000 word novel or 110,000 word novel doesn't really interest a lot of people. Reading a 3,000 word short story, hey, I can read this, put it down, I can come back to it and read another short story, put it down, and that keeps their interest. But short stories, Stephen King has so many really good short story collections out. And the first story I ever read, the first book I ever read was called Carrie. But then I read Malia with Skeleton Crew, the short story collection. And I fell in love with the fact that he could tell a story in so few words. And I understand most of his stories are novellas by any other standard, but when he really, early on, when he would tell those short stories, they would be 3,000, 5,000, 6,000 words. There would be so pop, you know, there'd be so much pop to it. It'd be so exciting. And so when I sit down and I write a short story, short stories happen just like the novels happen. If I start writing and it ends up 1,000 words, then it ends up 1,000 words. Start writing and it ends up 18,000. You know, Corey's Way was only supposed to be a short story. You know, it's only supposed to be about 3,000 to 6,000 words. Next thing you know, it was 60. But short stories just, I will read a short story. I love short stories. I'll read a short story before I read a novel any day. And I'm just drawn to them, and so I write them. And I've written probably 1,500 short stories in the last 17 years. Something like that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Talk about character development. How do you develop your character?
Same way I develop a story. All stories, I believe in, and I think you and I talked about this a couple of months ago, I believe in what I call the primary colors of writing. We all know what the 3 primary colors are. That's just like writing. You have a basic sentence, and I'm going to use the same one I used with you a couple of months ago. John is dead. That's basic. You got a character, you have a complete sentence, John is dead. Then you have secondary characters, which is your 3 primary colors mixed, which is where you start adding a level of description. John Lennon was killed yesterday. Now you know who it is, now you know how that he was killed, and now you know when he was killed, because you just added a little more layer to it. Then you have tertiary colors, which is all those other colors mixed together, you know, which gives you a lot more description. John Lennon was killed on December 8th, 1981, in New York City. Now you have a little more. Now you know where he was killed. Now you know when he was killed, and I just build it out from there. You know, every sentence is done almost the exact same way. Because if you can tell a basic story, you can tell a basic story in a couple hundred words. I mean, very basic, flat out, no descriptions, anything type story in a couple hundred words. But if you want to turn that into a novel, you know, you start expanding. John Lennon was killed on December 8, 1980, in front of his apartment. Yoko Ono was with him. How do you start building it? You know, and I build scenery that way. I build character that way. I build conflicts that way. Everything is built based on the primary colors of writing. And then you have white and black. Well, white and black is your emotions. You know, you have white and red, you get mauve. I just wanted to say that, by the way. Mauve, I love that word. So you get those, and they're not white, black or red. But that's how I do it. Everything is based on the 3 colors, built out from there.
Questions? Okay.
Thank you.